No. Come on, where is it?
Dave, it's your Idaho Central app here. Any chance you're missing a debit card? Let's get that taken care of for you. With ICCU's card control, you can turn any card off with the tap of your finger.
You got it.
And back on again. Out. The closest Idaho Central Credit Union branch is in your pocket.
Pow day.
Dude, let's go.
This is Bronco Nation News Live. The best interviews, the most informed opinions, the latest breaking news, all from the top Boise State insiders. Bronco Nation News Live from BroncoNationNews.com is presented by RowPaint.com, the official paint and coatings company of Boise State Athletics. All Bronco Nation news broadcasts come from the Western Collective Studios. Head down to Western Collective's locations in Garden City or downtown Boise to try some of their delicious beers, including the Horseshoe Golden Ale, the first beer to support an NIL collective. Now, here's four-time NSMA Idaho Sports Writer of the Year, BJ Rains, with another edition of Bronco Nation News Live.
Hey, how we doing? Happy Friday, Bronco Nation. Welcome on into a live edition here at Bronco Nation News Live at BroncoNationNews.com. My name is BJ Rains. We got Jay Tust, Sports Director at KTVB, joining us as well. Day one in the books of March Madness, and day two coming up today. And Jay, a lot of games to discuss from yesterday, but certainly the Mountain West needs Colorado State and New Mexico today because it's been another 0-2 showing, and Utah State really wasn't competitive at all in that game, and the easiest bet in the books might be to go out and take Memphis and Vanderbilt today. I don't know, but or whoever's playing New Mexico. But yeah, we'll see today. But it wasn't good yesterday for Utah State.
Yeah, another struggle. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of saw a lot of the national people picking. I think everybody wants to pick the 10-7 upset and make sure you have one of those in their bracket, and I was just pretty sure that wasn't going to happen. Utah State played their best basketball probably back in January, maybe even early February. But, you know, as that calendar flipped and they lost their home court advantage against a lot of the top teams in the league, it's just kind of the way their schedule broke down. They hosted Boise State and New Mexico, and well, New Mexico actually smacked them in Logan too, but they hosted a lot of the upper echelon Mountain West teams on the front half of the Mountain West schedule and then had to travel on the back half. And they got waxed on the road in almost every game, it seemed like, against elite competition. So that one, I just didn't think that was – I didn't think that was coming. And it certainly didn't. They got smashed by UCLA.
Blue Turf saying, sorry, BJ, your Hawks lost. Yeah, that was the I should have, in retrospect, Jay, just loaded up on Arkansas yesterday because we lost Jay for a second there. There he is. Should have loaded up on Arkansas. Should have seen that coming. Kind of, we've had the group text going all year, and I just should have seen that coming. This has not been a typical Kansas team, and had the lead by 3 with 3 minutes to go, but just couldn't finish it off, and all of a sudden one and done again for my Jayhawks. So that was a rough one, but yeah, didn't really get me that much. That's kind of how I expected this season. There's been years where we've been a 1 or 2 seed and lost early in the tournament. It really has bugged me. I kind of saw that coming last night. It is what it is.
Yeah, I thought that with Arkansas being without their leading scorer, that would be a game where you guys could go get. But it was also kind of a weird situation for Arkansas because they also got one of the top guards, and I don't want to say in the country, but like he was a highly rated recruit, and they got him back after, he missed a couple of months. And yeah, that's you're probably ready to turn the page on this Kansas team, though. At least know some of your buddies are.
Yeah, the group text has been interesting the last 24 hours, no doubt about it. But you know what? That's part of March Madness, man. You can have a great season, be one and done. You can have a rough season and win. And I mean, how about Clemson yesterday? That was, McNeese. First of all, McNeese almost blew it. Almost a great comeback by Clemson, but they had 13 points in the first half. And I know people are saying, hey, it just even shows even more that the Mountain West wasn't good and Boise State wasn't good and all this. I mean, Clemson, I'm not ready to say that. They were a really good team and I do get that the ACC wasn't great, so that probably helped them a little bit, but
yeah,
they were a solid team. They deserve the 5 seed, and I'm not ready to, take more credence off another Boise State win or whatever, just because they went 1 for 15 from 3 in the first half and fell behind or whatever, but it wasn't a good game for Clemson at all.
Yeah, trying to compare these wins at different times of the year, it's just tough. That was still a great win for Boise State, beating Clemson by 13 points. Clemson was one of the best teams in the ACC this year. But, that Clemson team also beat North Carolina by like 20. So it's weird to play that game. It kind of is what it is. I mean, you saw a San Diego State team that absolutely got smoked by UNC, and San Diego State beat Houston this year. San Diego State had a couple of nice wins this year. So it's kind of hard to play that game. The Mountain West, I mean, I will say this, though, it's kind of put up or shut up time. They have to, if they want to continue to be a 4 and argue to be a 5 bid league and things like that. I know it wasn't that long ago that San Diego State was playing for a national championship, but they've got to do something outside of San Diego State. They need another team to win some games. And if there is a team this year, I think it might be Colorado State, but the fact that they're a favorite in a 12-5 matchup, it just, especially with how much the Mountain West has struggled, it smells fishy.
Yes.
But maybe they'll get it done. But the Mountain West they're in trouble, and I'd say the Mountain West is in trouble too because some of their premier programs are leaving that league, and once they do, I mean, you really kind of got to wonder if it turns into a 1 bid league. I don't know, like
3 of the 4 teams right now that are in that made the tournament this year are all heading out.
I don't know. That's going to be really interesting to see what it turns into if it's a 1 bid league once this next round of realignment happens.
One of the reasons I wonder about Richard Pitino long term at New Mexico.
I agree, man.
Like New Mexico's
he's
kind of
got to think about that.
left, out in the cold with all these other teams leaving. And are they really going to be able to get the in-conference wins and have the, they're going to rack up a lot of wins probably because they'll easily dominate that.
They kind of become a Gonzaga, right? They kind of become a Gonzaga of the WCC. It's just New Mexico and the Mountain West, and the Mountain West potentially for basketball. Like
they're bringing in Grand Canyon. They're trying. They're teams, but it's not going to be the same when they're now in a conference with Air Force and Wyoming and San Jose State and some of these teams that
I was kind of running the numbers earlier, BJ, and if the new Pac-12 has a chance to be a really, really good basketball conference, like really good. Yeah. And I know all these metrics and stuff will change once that group of teams gets together. And I don't know, for better or worse, I don't exactly know. But if you take those numbers this year, and I mean, if you do throw schools like Memphis and St. Mary's into the picture too, all of a sudden their average net ranking is like 70-ish. It's low 70s, 73. That would have been significantly better than the ACC this year, and it would rival a top 4 conference in college basketball. Like at least in terms of the net rankings, it would. So I think that's kind of interesting moving forward. And even if they don't get St. Mary's and Memphis, they're still ahead of where the
I'm
ACC
not sure
was
I
this
want
year.
St. Mary's, to be honest. I've heard a lot of talk about them. I feel like
Yeah.
as soon as Randy Bennett decides to leave there, I mean, can they keep that going there? That'd be a
That's a
risk.
great question. That's a great question, man. And that's something like in realignment, that's something you really have to consider. I feel good about Memphis. I mean, Memphis will be, I mean, Memphis stays competitive, but that's a great question about St. Mary's, bud.
I wonder about them. But I mean, and maybe you don't care because the Mountain West is, like you said, it's only one more year. So maybe the perception of this league, like you don't really care if you're Boise State or these other teams that are leaving or whatever. But like, if Memphis and if Colorado State wins the tournament, they're the hot team, they're favored. And if they go lose, I mean, now again, they are a 12 seed and they're playing a 5. Like, I know they're
Yeah.
favored in the game, but let's
Yeah.
I mean, and that's part of the problem. The Mountain West just got a lot of really crappy seeds. I mean, you're looking at 2
Yep.
10s, and 11, a 12, or whatever it
Yep.
is. I mean, or a 10, 2 11s, and a 12, whatever it is. I mean, that's been part of the problem. You look at the history of the Mountain West, everyone was talking, 3-17 in first round games and all this. Well, how many of those 20 games, other than San Diego State games, have they actually been favored in? Usually not very many.
Mm-hmm.
They're not the higher seed, but you actually get a chance today where you're the betting favorite in this game, like Colorado State. And I hate to say it, I love Nico Medved. It's a great team. Clifford's great, but I could very easily see them going 3 for 19 from 3 and flaming out pretty early in the first round. I mean, they hit some really tough shots. They really rely on that 3-point shooting. We saw it in that championship game, Jay. They're a very solid team, but at some point they are going to come crashing down to earth. And the way it's going, very easily could be today.
Yeah, I think more than anything too is that you look at a Memphis squad that will possess the athleticism they need to maybe match what Neat Clifford puts on the floor. Like Neat Clifford's going to be, I think he should be a first-round NBA pick. But Boise State had a really tough time matching up with those types of players this year, one way or the other. And so Memphis should pose the ability to deal with somebody like a Neat Clifford. I will say Memphis is without Tyrese Hunter, who seems like he's been playing in college forever, started at Iowa State. That's when like the NIL, era really started to take off, and, Texas basically bought him, and that didn't necessarily go, at least, winning wise, probably as he planned. And so he goes back into the portal and he winds up at Memphis, and they have a chance to do something special. But I don't believe he's playing tonight, but I know he missed the American Championship game. So I don't know I don't even know if he's out for the tournament or when he comes back.
Memphis has a couple big guys. They still have that Musa Cisse, who, crazy as it sounds, played against Boise State when he was at Memphis, when Boise State played in the NIT in the North Texas gym after the COVID year. And then he left and went to like Oklahoma State and somewhere else, and then went back to Memphis. And he's still there. And then they have that is it Dane Danger, the big dude. I'm trying to remember I watched that whole championship. I watched that whole championship game because we were hoping, that would leave a spot for Boise State or whatever. And he was just dominating down in the post. So I don't know if it's a great matchup athletically with some of Memphis. We'll see. But the Mountain West has to
their big dude is that PJ Haggerty guy, who he might be one of the best, players they got out of the players to come out of the transfer portal this year. That guy's been crushing. He's almost averaging 22 a game.
What do you make of New Mexico and their prospectus today?
Man, once upon a time, I thought New Mexico might be a team that can make it out of the opening weekend, but I think I've been saying this for a little while now. They played their best basketball in the month of January, it seemed like, and Boise State's beaten them twice in the last month, basically. I don't know, man. I think that Marquette squad is pretty darn good, and I just think like the way that they match up. I don't know. Cam Jones is an All-American. I know that Donovan Dent probably played at an All-American level for most of the season, and probably because he's in the Mountain West missed out on something like that. But I think that's a matchup that probably favors Marquette. They have a pretty good squad, and I don't know, man. If I was a betting man, I'd probably say that the Mountain West is done after today, but we'll see if one of them can prove us wrong. I thought really highly of New Mexico for a long time this season. And it's not to even say that I think less of them now. I just think like even what you were saying about some of these seeds and the matchups, and I think that, Marquette was ranked pretty high for most of the year, and they lost some games on the back end. I just think that they might be a little undervalued. And I think that New Mexico just might be a Scotia overvalued in this matchup.
Want to play a little quick game here with our folks in the ICCU YouTube chat. This is Bronco Nation News Live here at BroncoNationNews.com. Jay, last night had a small gathering. Don't say anything that's part of this first, but I had a small gathering last night. And invited a few friends over, some folks that are Kansas alums or Kansas fans, and a couple of friends. And I invited both Jay Tust and John Mallory over to my house last night to watch some of the college basketball action. So I would like to, in the chat, I would like to see who they think showed. One of the two showed. Was it Jay Tust or was it John Mallory that actually showed up at my house last night, had some pizza, hung out, had a really good time? And which one was disrespectful to my family for not showing up? Which one was the one that, said he would be there and then didn't show and had some weird excuse, thought the game was tonight, not last night? Which one showed up and which one did not show up? Please. I've never had more reactions in the chat to begin with. All right, we've got ball game. Jordan said free food. It was Johnny. Mallory, ball. This is the one that which one showed up, I guess, or didn't show up. Mallory for the free food. Jay has a life. Ray. If there was free food, I'm guessing Johnny. Let's see, free food. Jay, probably ball game. Well, everyone thinking ball game wants the free food here. Jay showed and ball game bailed. Ball game no show. Mallory showed. Jay ghosted. Tust no show from Nathaniel Wilder here was the guess.
I saw Nathan stayed on the same floor as me at the Circa. I ran into Nate a couple of times down in Las Vegas.
Was he wearing the big hat?
I thought that thing was surgically attached to his head, but apparently it's not. But yeah, I'm just kidding, Nate. I'm just kidding.
Jay, you can. We looks like the guesses are probably 13-3 that Mallory showed and to you showing.
I'm not gonna lie, that's probably the way that I would have guessed too. I'm not gonna lie.
So what were you doing last night, Jay?
I mean, working for the most part, but I might have stopped by for a minute.
Okay, there you go. Jay Tust is the one that showed up. Ball game ghosted us last night. My son's watching the YouTube out there in the living room.
But in his defense, like that guy's got to be. He's a bachelor. It's March Madness. It must just be absolutely.
He works so hard,
crazy right now.
6, as he puts in his 10-hour work days in the cubicle, and he's just got no energy left to come back out and hang with his friends. But Jay Tust. Appreciate you for stopping by last night. We had Jay Tust graced us with his presence in between newscasts. Stopped by for a few minutes, had a slice of pizza, and I think we watched the Drake win over Missouri while you were here. Had some good times, but appreciate you had a busy night, Jay, and you were nice enough to come all the way out and stop by for a few minutes. So I wanted to publicly say thank you to you. Curtis says, I apologize for my lack of faith in Jay. I feel ashamed. Jay is a man of his word. Ray says maybe Johnny has a hot date. Now, I don't know. This he was a little secretive about what he was doing last night, so I don't know. Maybe that was the case.
Maybe.
He thought the game was tonight, he said. I'm like, really? Come on. I don't buy that.
I will say I thought the game was at 6:10, but that was still last night, not tonight.
You got over just in time to see Kansas implode down the stretch.
Yeah. I didn't want to mix up the juju, but
maybe you should have come. Yeah, maybe you should have come in a few minutes.
I thought about just bailing, but sorry, dude. That was a tough one, man.
But it was there's nothing better though, man, than having the multi-view on the TV and 4 games on and it was that Dre, we didn't get a ton of the after you guys all left, I watched the end of that Texas Tech UMC Wilmington game, and you're the Seahawks, I believe they're the UMC Wilmington. They were right there in the lead with 6-7 minutes to go, and we had the same thing with a couple of these other games where they were close for a while. Like a High Point was hanging around, but we didn't really get the. We had the McNeese one, but we didn't get the massive upset yet. That we've had in some tournaments. There were a couple close games. Yeah, I mentioned Drake beating Missouri. But overall, we're still waiting, Jay, for that massive first round upset today.
Yeah, I really that McNeese one was probably the biggest one over Clemson, I'd say.
To begin with, I feel like I don't know. That was kind of a trendy one, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was kind of a trendy one. So yeah, maybe just like the off the wall. You know that what was it? Omaha kind of pushed St. John's there for a
They did.
minute, but it wasn't anything
Yeah.
crazy.
They were winning either beginning of the second half or late first half, and then they ended up winning by 30.
Yeah.
They're like
But there wasn't anything. There wasn't anything off, which means there's got to be something that happens today. Does Robert Morris beat Alabama? Like there's got to be something today that is just completely out of left field that shocks us all.
I will say I thought UC San Diego got a terrible whistle down the stretch. There were a couple calls.
Yeah.
I took Michigan in my pool, so I don't have any skin in the game. I picked Michigan to win the game, but UC San Diego, there was a couple plays in the final minute there where they should have been going. They just swallowed their whistles, and then I looked up and it was your boy Vern Harris was one of the guys reffing the game. So I was like, okay, not really surprised. I guess there's an officiating issue, but that was disappointing. I don't know if anybody else watched that game, but I thought late in the game, UC San Diego, man, they got a raw deal there at the end.
I didn't honestly. I wanted to watch that game, and I wasn't really believing all the upset hype over Michigan. For whatever reason, I'm not saying Michigan's a world beater this year, but I just felt like everybody was picking against them in the Big Ten tournament, and lo and behold, they win the darn thing. And I don't know. I wasn't going to pick against Michigan. I didn't really get a chance to watch that game down the stretch because I was at work and trying to smash to get the news at 10 done. But I looked up and I think Michigan was up kind of big in that game, and Brian Holmes was like, "Hey, UC San Diego's within 3," and I look up, I was like, "Wow, it's a 3-point game." And then right as I'm going on the news at 10, I'm looking up at the TV and I see they have a 3 to win it, and they missed it or 3 to tie it, and they missed it just a little long.
Yeah. By the way, I had Clemson in the Final Four, so my bracket's pretty much done.
Oh.
I
Okay.
bought into the Clemson hype, by the way, so I'll just throw it.
Uh-oh.
Every year you got to pick somebody, and I took my shot with Clemson this year, and that didn't work out for me. So
I should have let this guy pick out my bracket.
Oh,
apparently.
there we go.
Yeah.
There we go.
So
we saw the photo on social media. What was the game or moment that we were celebrating?
It was he was just watching ball. Yeah, he's just watching ball.
Going down the slide, hanging out, watching games.
Yep.
Look at that. Do you need to attend to that, Jay?
What's that?
Do you need to attend to make
Yeah,
it
read. I'm gonna go return him to his rightful owner.
Come on, Brooksy.
Say hi. Can you say hi? Can you wave?
Can you guys believe? Jay's already got him doing soft toss tee work. Already out in the garage. Take your time, Jay. We're going to thank some sponsors anyway here. Hey, roepaint.com, roepaint.com. Official paint and coatings company of Boise State Athletics is our title sponsor, roepaint.com. All your painting needs. Make sure you hit up our title sponsor, roepaint.com. Concrete coatings, interior, exterior painting, all that good stuff. roepaint.com. TacoBellWorks.com. If you are looking for a job, SON Management, the Nicolason family, they can help you out. TacoBellWorks.com. More information on how to apply for a job or about the company's history there in the Treasure Valley. And if you want a job, they got some great benefits. Free food while you work, half the wages the next day after your shift. A lot of great options at Taco Bell at the Treasure Valley, locally owned Taco Bell locations. And the food's pretty darn good as well. Check them out, TacoBellWorks.com. Idaho Central Credit Union, ICCU.com. There's a branch pretty much on every corner, but the easiest is that mobile e-branch online banking right there in your smartphone. Idaho Central Credit Union, ICCU.com. Hey, Jackson's has the $3 meal deal going on. You can get a Tornado and a Gatorade water or a fountain drink for $3 at Jackson's. If you're a little hungry, or the $5 meal deal, they've got that as well. 2 hot dogs and a kettle chips for $5. How about that at a Jackson's location? And don't forget, use that Let's Go Rewards app. You get a 99-cent coffee day or night using your Let's Go Rewards app at Jackson's. Hey, Snake River Pool and Spa, patio and game. SpaTeam.com, locations in Twin Falls, Boise, Meridian, Nampa. Been around since 1978. They're part of the Boise State home team. Find a sauna, spa, pool table, whatever you're looking for at the SpaTeam.com. The Blue and Orange Store, theblueandorangestore.com. They got all your Boise State gear, whether you're looking for jerseys, caps, sweatshirts, jackets, bumper stickers, car flags, logo golf balls. They got you covered. The Blue and Orange Store, mini helmets. You name it. They got it all. The blueandorangestore.com. Order online anywhere in the world. or just order right there in person. Second floor, Boise Town Square Mall, that clearance rack next to Pro Image, the best in the business, and that is at the blueandorange.store.com. And our other major sponsor we want to thank is Lithia Ford of Boise, lithiafordboise.com. They got some great inventory right now. They got to get rid of some of these 2024s to make room for the 2025. So they got some great deals and things going on. Check them out, lithiafordboise.com. View their full inventory of vehicles. And again, they're taking care of the athletes at Boise State on the NIL deals, some coaches, some administrators. If you want to return the favor, folks, support the folks that are supporting the Broncos, and that's Lithia Ford of Boise, no doubt about it. So online, lithiafordboise.com, you can check that full inventory of vehicles, or you can go and check them out in person right there in Boise on Fairview Avenue. This is an ICCU Friday edition. Bronco Nation News Live here at bronconationnews.com. My name is BJ Rains. We got Tust, sports director at KTVB, with us as well. Jay, I forgot to mention this yesterday, but, disappointed about Kansas, disappointed about, not having much skin left in the game here, obviously with Boise State not being in it, whatever. But the Chicago Cubs are in last place, so it's a great morning. They're 0-2. I wanted to say it after that 4 a.m. game the other day, and I forgot it. But how about 2 games already in the books? The Dodgers on pace to go 162-0, and the Chicago Cubs in last place. My Cardinals tied for first place. But I say that because opening day is a week from yesterday. So this time next Friday, Jay, we'll have real baseball going pretty much every day from here on out.
I'm stoked for that. We are close to opening day. The Mariners aren't in last. Well, I guess they are. They're tied for first or tied for last, however you want to phrase it. But I'm going to go tied for first. So I'm going to cling to that optimism as opening day quickly approaches.
You saw them play, though, so you can attest that they're ready to go.
Yeah, I saw them play. Excuse me. They got down 19-2 to the Chicago White Sox. Yep, I saw them trailing 19-2 to the Chicago White Sox. The funny thing about it is that they put in all the young kids, and they put up a 7 spot in the bottom of the 9th. So we were kind of joking about them rallying back, having the greatest comeback in the history of baseball, probably. They fell 9 runs short, despite the fact they scored 7 runs in the bottom of the 9th. Yeah.
By the way, do you have you were liking the shirt that my son had on last night?
Yeah, the Griffey shirt.
Yes.
You're raising them right, bud. You're teaching them who the legends of the past were, and Griffey was obviously one of the best.
Didn't you have didn't Brooks get a baseball birthday party?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, unfortunately, that's probably going to be his theme here on out, moving forward. Although he's a big Lightning McQueen fan at the moment. We watch Cars every day. I'm actually kind of disappointed they've only made 3 cars. I wish there was like 10.
There is 3, so you can mix it up a little bit.
Yeah, we just thank goodness, because we basically just keep rotating through those things. And Cars 2's not great. But I have to throw it in there just because we can't watch the same 2 every single day.
Yes, and I do miss those days, Jay, but I don't miss those days because of the Bluey and some of the shows that we would sit there and watch. And I don't know if you ever do this, Jay, but it still happens like once a week probably, where it'll be before school or something. They'll be watching a show, something, and they'll leave and go to school. And my wife works from home too, so she's over there working and I'm working. And like an hour later,
you'll realize it's on.
We're both still watching Bluey or whatever show is on. An hour, turn this damn thing off. What are we doing here?
Yep, that usually happens just about every morning, because then they go off and play, and you don't know when they're going to come back, and they're going to want to watch it, so you just kind of leave it on. Yep.
And you and your wife are sitting there watching Cars for the 18th time in the last week.
It happened right before the show. The kids go off and eat breakfast, and we're sitting there watching Cars, but we're both kind of on our phones too and not really paying attention. But then you do realize, like, yep, this thing's still rolling.
Jay, in the week or so, I guess 4 days since the Crown Tournament has been announced, have your thoughts changed? There's been a lot of, and we had Jeremiah Dickey on yesterday talking about it, but just any basketball thoughts on the tournament? Do you feel any better about it, worse about it? Boise State participating in the Crown Tournament a week from Monday.
No, I mean, I'm pretty much the same. Still interested to see. We are 3 days away from the transfer portal officially opening up, And there's been kids that have said, they're entering the transfer portal, but technically you can't enter it unless your coach is fired. You can't enter it until the 24th. So who really is going to show up and play in this thing, I guess is my kind of biggest, wonder. I expect Boise State to have just about everybody, at least all their guys that have been significant contributors. I think their roster is going to be, pretty much intact going into this thing. But, Washington State lost one of their top guards. He's going to enter the transfer portal. I don't really follow, too many other schools that closely to know what they're going to do. You got to assume that Eric Dixon of Villanova is going to show up because he's out of eligibility, I believe. So, they're
scorer in the nation.
What's that?
The leading scorer in the nation, correct?
Leading scorer in the nation, exactly. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see how many players, actually do show up in Las Vegas, but there is a monetary incentive here to show up and win a few games, and maybe you could walk away with 20 or 30 grand in a week, depending on how many guys are actually on your roster. I like how the matchups work out. I think that Boise State is a pretty winnable game one against George Washington. Not that gonna have to play well. I mean, George Washington did win over 20 games this year, but it's a very winnable game for Boise State. And then I think you look at that next round matchup. Butler's having a down year. Utah has already made the decision to move on from their head coach. So that's a winnable quarterfinals matchup. You go down and you look at some of those teams at the bottom half of their side of the bracket, and whoever emerges out of that's going to be a decent brand. I don't expect it to be Washington State, to be honest with you, but it could be a Georgetown, an Arizona State, or a Nebraska. Any one of those teams in the semis would be a fun matchup. And then some good team's going to emerge on the other half of the bracket. So it's not the NCAA tournament. I mean, we can't. We're not saying it is, but I'm just reminding you it's not the NCAA tournament, obviously. But yeah, I'm excited about the matchup, and the guys get some downtime. And I think that the plan is for them to get back to Boise, sometime this weekend and begin practicing to gear up for that thing.
Okay.
I missed that comment.
Well, it's another comment from our friend Johnny Ballgame, who must be watching the show on delay. Must have just got to the point where we were having a little fun with him. It just says Kane Brown. Johnny may or may not have helped me and my wife secure 2 tickets to Kane Brown for tomorrow night. So I guess he's saying he's trying to throw it back at me a little bit. So.
Okay. He texted me that too, and I'm not sure what it meant because I didn't get tickets to Kane Brown.
I'm sure you and everybody else turned them down, and I was like the 10th person that didn't want to help out.
Nope. He must be better friends with you because he didn't even offer me.
Well, I asked him. I'm that kind of guy. I know people you get free. He's in the radio world. I'll reach out and see. And Johnny, actually, to his credit, did come through with 2 tickets. You know how it is, man. There's never a night to go to a concert this time of year. I mean, it's was never expecting it to be in Boise, available to go, whatever. So
yep.
The night popped up. My wife was free. I was free. Reached out to Johnny, and he did come. Johnny came through. So all right, Johnny, I apologize for roasting you, but for not showing up at my. He's going to show up tonight probably when I don't want him to show up. Jordan says, at first, I like the delay. Not sure it's helpful when you factor in coach-player transfers. That is going to be – I mean, Prater was saying he thinks his Utah Utes had like 7 guys in the portal or something, or guys that were supposed to go. Mm-hmm. He doesn't know how they're going to have enough players to play.
Yeah, that's kind of the wild card with this thing, man. And that's why Boise State might have a serious chance to go on a little bit of run here and pad their pockets, if you will. Like, I think that with some outgoing seniors like Omar Stanley and Tyson Degenhart and Alvaro Cardenas, that they're going to be motivated to go win this thing and try to finish their Boise State careers with a victory, which is, and I mean, there's not many schools in the country that play in a tournament that they get to say that, right? So I think they're going to be motivated to go out and get that done. And from my understanding, it basically started with that trio, the conversations of, do we want to keep playing? Those 3 guys said yes, and then basically Coach Rice addressed the rest of the team, from my understanding.
Yeah, I mean, in this case, I do believe there's some years where it's like you could just tell there's that vibe and when they're in like we've talked about it, there's that vibe at the airport after they lose in the Mountain West tournament. And you're like, no, they just want to be they're done. They want to move on
Yep.
and start building the roster for next year. But
Mhm.
this break too does give the coaching staff 10 days or whatever it's been to start perusing the transfer portal and start thinking about next year. And but the real transfer portal doesn't open until Monday, so they'll have all of next week to mix in practice with transferring and stuff, and then they won't head down, I don't think, till next Saturday. So they still have a whole nother week to practice, get ready, and why wouldn't, I mean, especially for the seniors, but why, even if you're another player on the roster, like unless you are transferring and want no part of this team, why if they like each other as much as they claim they do, I don't know why you wouldn't want to keep playing and have a chance to win 30 grand. And if a guy or two transfers, guess what? That's more money in the pot for the ones that stay.
Yeah. Making 20 or 30 grand in a week seems like a pretty attractive option to me. I think that there's schools out there that, have greater collectives and things like that, where that might not seem like a lot. But if you're a Boise State basketball player, that is a really good payday or pay week or whatever you want to say by hanging around and playing a few more basketball games. I think the interesting thing will be, though, like the portal is going to open and you can't wait, because if you wait to address your needs, somebody else is going to snatch them up. So the interesting thing is like, I'm not predicting anything. This is completely hypothetical.
You add a player before a player leaves.
If you add a player before a player leaves, or something like that, or even if the player might stay, but you got to go get that guy right now that you feel like might impact your starting five more. Like that could be interesting.
With, Alvaro Cardenas, I think they got him before Roddy Anderson left, and I don't know if that pushed Roddy out the door or what. But I mean, they had both those guys were on the roster at the same time.
Well, okay, I couldn't remember the exact timeline.
I'm pretty sure they got Cardenas, because then it was like, well, if Anderson wants to stay, great. If not, see ya.
Here's what we can like definitively say about that. Even like publicly versus behind the scenes, we do know that a Boise State assistant coach was having lunch with Alvaro Cardenas the day after the season ended last year, and in Dayton, not long before that, Roddy Anderson told, we were both talking to him, and Roddy said that he had every intention wanted to come back next year, wanted to improve his game and things like that. And clearly the wheels were set in motion not long after that by adding Alvaro.
And what is your list of needs? I mean, I guess it all matters who leaves, I guess, too. But I think they need a point guard that obviously can get to the rack. I mean, I don't know if I think Julian Bowie has a bright future, but I'm not sure if he's just your one as your point guard. I think they need another Alvaro Cardenas type, just kind of more of the guy that runs the show. And you would love to get a guy that could, get downhill, create his own shot, get to the rim a little bit easier than at times this program's had in the last couple of years. And Cardenas certainly was that kind of guy, could get there. And but I don't know how they feel about the center position. I mean, you'd like to maybe see him go get another kind of impact player in the post. And then I think you could use another shooter. I know they think that there's obviously improvement and areas to come for Carmichael and for Meadow and for Bowie and some of these guys, and maybe they think it's on the roster. But I think another lock, I don't care if he's NAIA, D3, whatever. Just find some guy that shoots 45% from three or whatever, a Xavier Ducell type that can just come in and go 2 for 4, 2 for 5 every game, hit you a couple threes. I think that would be a big area that I would look to. I know they like a lot of the guards and wings they have, but I think another 3-point shooter would be big too.
I think you're right on that one. I think a guy that you feel like you can be comfortable with shooting, 42, 43% from three. That'd be awesome. That guy also might be Pearson Carmichael. Like he might be on the roster right now. Good. I mean, a timely thought right there from Bronco 130. That might be him. I think that Pearson's got a pretty high ceiling. Meadow should only continue to take a step forward. You got to get a guy that can set those guys up for success, though. And we saw that last year where, they just had a tough time distributing the basketball. And, it left, guys like Max Rice had a lot of guys, didn't have a lot of room to shoot the basketball, right? And so you got to find that point guard that can facilitate and open up the court and distribute and things like that. I would love to maybe see them get a big. They got to lean on their player development. A guy that we don't talk a lot about that I know they're very high on is Dominic Parolin Out of I'm not know if I'm saying his last name perfect there, but they got him as a transfer out of Lehigh, and kind of always the plan with him was to be Tyson Degenhardt's replacement. Now, pump the brakes. It's unfair to compare anybody to Tyson Degenhardt. But he kind of fits. He does some of the things that Tyson does. And so I'm not predicting him to come in and score, over 600 points in a season next year. By the way, Tyson is 6'10" now. Tyson actually could go out and get the single season scoring record. Like he's only 41 points shy, I believe. I think the record is 651. Hey, BJ,
2,000.
you're on mute.
Kind of, yeah. I muted myself on this.
He's closing in on 2.
Number. What's his total at now? Because I think that'd be pretty cool if he could get to 2,000.
I believe 29 away from 2K.
Okay,
that's up top. I'm pretty sure it's 29 from 2K.
That'd be a pretty cool round number to hit.
2,000 career points. So Tyson's going after 2,000 career points. He's going after the single season scoring record. All of these guys they've played 34 games. So most of these guys are going to tie the single season school record for games played. If they win just one game at the Crown, all these guys are going to, set the school record for games played in a season. The record's 35. A number of guys have done it, but I don't know if that's anything to call home about or whatever, but at least means that you're winning games in March probably.
What's the wins record? Can they win the most games in a single season if they win the Crown?
Ooh. If they win the Crown, they actually.
What do they have right now? Check this.
I know they've won 27. Don't know if they've won more than that.
So what year would that have been? 2022?
Yeah.
So right now they're 24-10, so they could get to 28. They went 27-8 in 2022. They might get it. I think they set the record with 27 wins, right?
I believe that's correct.
So they could win the Crown and become the winningest team in. Yeah.
I don't know if the guys would feel that way, but technically you're correct.
I'm sure Ray and some of those guys would put asterisks next to that, but
honestly, that's fine with me because it feels like you got to win NCAA tournament games to truly hold that title. But still, it would be a mark that we could not ignore, and you would say 28 would be the record if they go win the Crown. But that 2021-22 team is the best in school history.
Hey, Matt Bousher, Bousher Real Estate, number 1 ranked realtor in the Treasure Valley is Matt Bousher and Bousher Real Estate. Check them out online at BousherRealEstate.com. Ridley's Family Markets, shopRidleys.com. Download their Skip app, get savings up to 40% off at the checkout line. Locations in all across the state of Idaho, surrounding states. Check them out online at shopRidleys.com. Transportation Compliance Service. You looking for a job? The trucking industry is perfect right now. It's booming. All the permits, paperwork, everything you need to be out there towing that first load in no time. Hit them up at transcompservice.com. LeanFeastMeridian.com. If you want some healthy eating options, they deliver. It's healthy, all different diets, fully customizable. They feed the football team, the basketball team. They can feed you as well. The Rains family is loving it. Hit them up, LeanFeastMeridian.com and speakpipe.com/BNN. Leave us a voicemail in the Signature Roofing voice inbox. Signature Roofing, whether it's a re-roof, a repair, an estimate, an inspection, they got you covered at mysignatureroofing.com. All right, Jay, final couple minutes here. I wanted to get one football thought from you. By the time we talk again on Tuesday, they'll be on the field back at spring practice again. I know us, I guess you made it out there on the second practice before you flew down. I only saw one practice on that first Monday. But we had Michael Callahan on Wednesday, did a great job with his kind of big picture synopsis of spring ball. But for you, when we dive back into this next week and have 4 straight weeks of Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday coverage here, what position groups, players, storylines, where are you rushing with the KTVB camera to try to get footage of, and what are you focusing on here moving forward?
Sire Gaines. I'm going to try to beat Johnny to the punch. I know Johnny is always on Sire Gaines' watch, but I'm going to try to beat him to the punch, get over there, get some practice video, because Spencer told us he should be back after spring break. It's funny, they tried to rush. Honestly, they tried to rush him back. He tried to rush himself back, to get ready for the Fiesta Bowl or any bowl game beyond that. Just couldn't quite make it in time. And then after that, it's almost like, okay, let's take our foot off the gas, make sure that you're correct and right and healthy. And now we are a couple of months later, and they're still trying to kind of like ease him back into this thing. So Excited to see him get back. Things I'm not worried about, the offensive line. I think that those guys that's going to be an awesome unit. They're going to be great. Matt Lauder is balling again. I think he's only going to continue to ascend as a premier playmaker in the Mountain West Conference. But yeah, interested to see, the line, the defensive backs continue to develop, the defensive line continue to develop. I think that, some of the rotations there are going to be intriguing. I want to see these guys that, catch the football, continue to try to make some plays. Ashton was just such an explosive player last year. Clearly, they've got to identify some guys that can kind of make up for that. And a guy that is flashed already, though, I'm really trying to put like reasonable expectations here, people. But a guy that I do think can really help them next year is Malik Sherrod, the Fresno State transfer. He's going to be an exciting player that I don't think that Malik's going to be a guy that gets 25, 30 carries a game. I think that's Zaire Gaines, but he's definitely going to get his fair share. And I think that they'll find ways to get him in space and be a pass catcher. I think that that's something that's very exciting about Malik Sherrod.
And the return game with what Sherrod brings.
Yeah.
Too.
Yep. Yeah. Another thing that will be just an underlying story that doesn't get a ton of attention until, we really dive into fall camp and we start to get past the obvious storylines. It is really weird not seeing Jonah Dalmas trot out there to kick field goals. And yes, I know that the last couple of games of his career were some of his worst, unfortunately. But that guy's statistically, that guy was a dominant kicker. And for 99.9% of his career, every time that guy would trot it out on the field, you're like, this thing is money. It's good. Put 3 on the board now. And I think that reality will set in at some point in time next year where you just don't have that automatic feeling every time that kicker goes out there.
Yeah, no, it was pretty jarring last weekend, that first practice I went to, of who wasn't there. I mean, every year there's guys not there at spring practice, but not seeing Ashton Genty, Ahmed Hassani, Tubner, all these mainstays with this COVID thing that, some of, not Genty obviously, but for different reasons, but for some of these guys that have been there 5-6 years with the COVID and all that, and just it was just weird not seeing some of these guys out there. And then on the flip side, you see the newcomers like a Sherrod and all this, and you see a Zach Hill and a Frank Miley and some of the newcomers out there too. It just seemed like I know it's like that every year, but it seemed a little more jarring, I guess, with some of the additions and subtractions.
Almost has you wondering what year it is.
Yes. Yes. Jay, appreciate you, man, for jumping on. Thanks again for stopping by last night. That was fun. And we'll be watching KTVB. And we got the weekend here with the March Madness. What's the softball update? I know you caught in with Justin Schultz. I know what's going on with them.
3-game series versus Nevada starts tonight at 6:30. Or 6 o'clock over at Donald Lawson Park. Had a rough weekend at Fresno State last week. They played a midweek doubleheader. They got I would say their mojo back. Sophia Knight continues to absolutely rake, but we flipped the page really from winter sports to spring sports, and this next month is going to be really critical for the Boise State softball team if they want to go try to win a Mountain West title. All
right, get out there at Donald Larson Park tonight. All weekend to support the softball team. They got some, like you said, record-breaking stuff going on right now. So perfect. It's not terrible. Wear an extra layer. You'll be fine. Get out there. Jay, appreciate it, man. Have a great rest of your weekend. And then Tuesday, I want to get into Pro Day and Genty and stuff. I know we may have to switch the time up with there being practice Tuesday morning, so we'll try to find a time to make it work. But big day coming up with Pro Day Wednesday, and then basketball will be back at practice. So kind of had to fill this week with a lot of random stuff, but I think next week we'll get back to football and basketball, hardcore stuff, and be off and rolling with spring football for the next month here. So appreciate it, Jay.
Sounds good, bud.
There he is, Jay Tust. Make sure you're checking out KTVB and all their various newscasts and things. They do a tremendous job covering sports in the Treasure Valley with Jay and Brady. So KTVB.com, you can check them out, and they do a tremendous job. So we are only 10, 15 minutes away from the first game starting of the day today. I believe at noon is when that Colorado State-Memphis game gets going. Looking forward to that. 11 a.m. tip there in Seattle, first game of the day. So appreciate all you guys for checking us out. Subscribe if you can. BNN 50 deals, that promo code going across the bottom of the screen gets you $20 off your first year. So appreciate you guys. And thanks for checking us out as always. And I know we had some fun today, talked about some random topics, kind of just a fun Friday here at BNN. So, and all kidding aside, love Johnny Ballgame. Make sure you're listening 3 to 6 today, Idaho Sports Talk with Prater and Johnny. And I'll be on 4:15 today as well. So you can hear me on Idaho Sports Talk with Johnny and Prater. So have a great weekend, everybody. We appreciate you. We appreciate ICCU. It's an ICCU Friday here, ICCU.com. Make sure you check them out. All your banking needs, ICCU.com. And, of course, our title sponsors, rowpaint.com. Have a great weekend. We'll see you on Monday, 9 a.m., Bronco Nation News Live, bronconationnews.com.
Hey, Forrest here. Nothing like getting paid. And with ICCU's mobile app, I can deposit checks or accept Zelle payments so the money hits my account fast. I just wish there was an app for mowing the rest of these lawns.
Bronco Nation News is presented by our title sponsor, rowpaint.com. Our major sponsors, Idaho Central Credit Union, Taco Bell, Lithia Ford, the Blue and Orange Store, Jackson's, and our contributing sponsors, Signature Roofing, Western Collective, Snake River Pool and Spa, Transportation Compliance Service, Boucher Real Estate, Ridley's Family Markets, Circa Las Vegas, Lean Feast, and Timberstone Golf Course.